For all the Jural Assemblies Part 42 The United States Raj. February 28, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. Many of the people reading this can remember film clips of Mahatma Gandhi and newsreels being shown of the massive population-wide but largely peaceful demonstrations taking place in India in the late 1940s against the British Raj. The whole point was to free the Indian subcontinent from British rule and oppression that began in the 1860s and to restore self-government to India. How ironic. The British did the same thing here and at the same time, the 1860s, but they could use deceit to get away with it here, because they had many Tory sycophants ready to willingly subject themselves to the Queen, and even more clueless wonders ready to do anything for a paycheck, and most of all because they could pass themselves and their flunkies off as Americans. It's a lot harder for a Brit to pretend to be a native of Calcutta than it is to say he's from Maine. The historical evidence of a worldwide coup in the 1860s that secretly restored a British military hegemony in America and which accomplished the same basic aims using the same basic means in Australia, Canada, India, South Africa, Scotland, Ireland, and England herself, is incontrovertible, and it all stems from Benjamin Disraeli, Queen Victoria, and their completely cynical and non-disclosed contractual enfranchisement of the working classes in all these countries. The end result is the equivalent military Raj ruling the United States has endured for over 70 years, longer than the Raj in India, with most people being none the wiser. Until now. The British territorial military government usurped upon us beginning in 1863, at about the same time, a little after in some steps and a little earlier for others, that Disraeli and Queen Victoria were enfranchising British workers and taking over India. They basically enslaved and hypothecated debt against all of us to raise the capital to enslave India. So as we were sitting there as good little British and American and Aussie and Canadian schoolchildren being fed propaganda daily, and as the world was cheering the more or less peaceful separation of Pakistan from India and then cheering the people of India for facing down the pitiless Raj and showing them up for the brutal thugs they really were, little did we know that our very own beloved U.S. military was cut from nearly the same cloth. Perhaps the native Christian ethics and the honesty of the heartland served to somewhat moderate the brutality of the so-called American military, which hasn't been American since the 1860s, but we made up with clueless stupidity and brute strength what we lacked in guile and sophistication. Through 2 world wars we served our British masters to our own detriment, and this is the thanks that we have received: the complete undermining of our government, our school system, our monetary system, our morals, and our property rights. And now we stand threatened by our own employees. Both Obama and Trump have armed the alphabet soup civilian agencies belonging to the Holy Roman Empire municipal government to the teeth in preparation for the precipitation of another civil war that the Benelux and French banking interests plan to unleash against the British-led banksters on our soil. Both sides are as nasty and dirty as 2 Nazis in a sunbed. We are supposed to be sucked into this planned conflagration which is meant to blossom into yet another final world war against evil, but the fact is that both sides are evil and there are no winners. Before it comes to that, let's expose the situation and decline to host any such war on our soil. It was bad enough during the similar mercenary conflict known as the Civil War. No repeats welcome nor necessary. We will paddle our own boats, reconstruct our own federal states of states, and provide our own services. Thank you, very much. It is this third path that beckons us, to restore our country and our lawful and actual government by peaceful means, and which also calls on the conscience of the whole world, so that these venal men who have enslaved and murdered our people, cheated and defrauded entire generations, and misrepresented America to the rest of the world, can be seen for what they are and what they do. Let the fruits be exposed and speak for themselves. As Jural Assembly members and lawful American state citizens, it is long overdue for us to take our employees in hand and put an end to the so-called Reconstruction, and also put an end to the self-serving lie that our government is in any kind of abeyance, and finally, to totally reform the United States Raj. For the last several months we have been inundated with commercial corporations operating on our shores under deceitful, duplicitous names designed to fool people regarding their true identities, natures, and intents. We have the Republic of the United States of America and the Republic for the United States of America and the Republic and the United States of America, Inc. and the United States, Inc., and you name it, we have it. There's a virtual smorgasbord of dishonest commercial corporations offering their services and pretending to be us, but the fact remains that our actual government operates under exactly 3 proper names styled like this. 1. The United States. 2. The United States of America. 3. The States of America. And nothing else. Similarly, there is a plague of other lesser franchise corporations trying to pull the same wool over our states of the Union and to impersonate them for the purpose of securing control of our assets for their benefit and abuse. We've had Alabama and Al and Alaska and AK and all sorts of variations on these themes, and what it all comes down to is this: they are fakes. Not our states. Not our people. Whatever else they are not us, and many of them have unsavory associations with the same fraud artists and organizations which have defrauded and abused us for decades, including the United States Raj. Forewarned is forewarned. Everyone can now see what is going on and the urgency with which a restoration of our lawful government of, for, and by the people of this country is sought. Let every good man and woman from every corner of the globe do all that they can in support, by thought, by word, by prayer, and by deed. Both the British hegemony and the Holy Roman Empire atrocities have had their day. It's time for different answers, and we must find them. Nobody can do for us what we need to do for ourselves, which is simply to update and restore our own government under our own power, acting in our own proper capacity as lawful persons and as American state citizens. But just as we cheered the people of India 3/4 of a century ago, the public opinion of the world must be turned against the British interlopers and the HRE with equal force. We have experienced firsthand their guile and mistreatment for 150 years. It's time for America and the rest of the world to be truly free, and assembling our states is a first and most important requirement. Please hit subscribe, like, share, embed, and get ready for many more Anna von Reitz article videos.